And yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, we're being joined by Abdul Jabbar Saab and Dawood Saab. Abdul Jabbar from Bradford and Dawood Saab from all the way from Oxford, who donate their time for hopefully a noble cause. I think the noble cause is to educate people and to inform people. And yeah, so I think currently, I think the first topics that we picked is one was regarding what do you call it, is made is basically there's some protests heating up in India, and I think they've been referred to as cockroach, and they've taken that name, and I think they've been called the Cockroach Janta Party. So I think this has been happening. So it's brewed over a couple of months. So May 2026, there was some kind of satirical online movement, and which involved the Supreme Court Chief Justice. And Abdul Jabbar Sahab, can you inform us, can you tell us about, a bit about what's happening in the Indian regions? Obviously, it looks like there's heavy protests that people hurt. So can you please tell us what's going on?
Before we start, I think it's important because this comment was made by the Chief Justice of India describing the protesters as cockroaches. But as Muslims, we cannot describe fellow human beings as cockroaches, which is a humiliating, inhuman term to use, be used against human beings. So I thought I'll start off with that. Uh, Basically, it got started in a rather volatile way because the Chief Justice of India described protesters who were unemployed, frustrated, and angry with the leak of a all India exam for entrance into universities and colleges and so forth. He described the people who were angry at that and protesting as cockroaches. And as a result, someone who was from India in the United States, studying, I believe, Abhishek Dipke, decided that he would take that name on and describe all the protesters as cockroaches. And I think he formally called it the Cockroach Party or the Cockroach Janta Party or Cockroach People Party. And that's how the name came up.
Hmm. Right. So the Woods Hub, what do you make of all this? Obviously, there's is happening in India, which is supposed to be the largest democracy in the world.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Yeah, like it's the same thing that happened in was it Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So it's these are corrupt institutions, corrupt politicians or leadership, and the people are sick, and especially Gen Z. They're prepared to knock down everything. That's what you're gonna see. These guys, the previous generation. Again, I'm going to quote Sahil Adin, but let's be honest, we felt this, we've understood this. Is our parents' generation? They tried to save the family, lost children, and the our generation or pseudo, or was it Gen Y or whatever, millennials. They forsake the family to save the children, but both failed miserably for their own reasons. And these guys, they're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what's going to happen. And unless they've been, unless you know, we can step up and guide that energy, guide that understanding towards through the Quran and through the truth. That's what they want. I mean, that's what they're all screaming for. That's what they're all yawning for. From Sri Lanka to Bangladesh. I mean, this protest has been going on for since for at least the last 5 years. If you notice, and it's the same Generation Z.
Is it to do with the capital issue where people at the top, obviously, the few at the top benefit
So
from?
as Abdul Jabbar mentioned, it was because some what was it leakage of of
exam papers.
exam papers.
Yeah,
So effectively, there's some corruption going on right from the top, where some individuals are going to get through and some are, most aren't. It's the same thing that happened in Bangladesh, where they were deliberately only hiring postgraduates that were associated with a specific party at that time. It belonged to Hasina, I think. What was it? Awami Party or something. I'm not too familiar with the politics
mm.
there, but that's what was going on. And then what you saw is this massive protest, because what do we say as in the Quran? Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us that you're all the same. There's
Mm.
none of you above one another. So as we're
So,
all the same, we have to help each other to lift up one another.
so when you say we're all the same, so we're talking about whether they're Hindus or Christians or Muslims,
Yeah, yeah. Like
everybody's equal.
we're going back to the Medina model, subhanallah. In the Medina model, they had everybody. There were Jewish tribes there. There were still mushriks there, and and the masjid was bustling 24 hours. People were looking for solutions. It didn't matter from where, from whom. That's how many. Once they had many of them did become Muslim, and that was only based on the fact that they saw Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the miracles that he was able to, and his miracles were. We say miracles. His unfathomable way of showing empathy. Now I want to apologize because last week I said something I shouldn't have said to my Indian brothers and sisters. So I apologize for that statement. And yes, they are. We're all equal. We need to work together to lift one another up. And the best people that are positioned to do this are the guys who know the kitab, the guys who are really close to the Quran, and those are the clergy. That's the imams and the muftis. They're the ones that can assist in getting out of this miserable condition.
Hmm. Also, I think I just want to know, obviously, because I'm just looking at the latest reports, and it does look like Rahul Gandhi and the opposition leaders on Tuesday evening were arrested, and they were later released. So I think obviously this has gone to the top, and it just quickly shows how things can quickly get out of control or quickly reach the top. Obviously, things can change quickly. So, do you think AJ Modi is he gonna do anything about this? Is he are we gonna get rid of? Obviously, Modi is someone who's in the past has been, well, he's murdered. He's been involved in the murder of many Muslims in Gujarat, and he's quite an, well, evil. I would classify as an evil figure. Especially what he's doing in Gujarat and Kashmir. So this particular individual Modi, Prime Minister Modi, is there any chance that the public, obviously, they're sick and tired of this individual? Is there any chance that they are going to get rid of him?
Uh, we do live in authoritarian um, times. A lot of countries are ruling well. Even India, which is a very large country, is a so-called democracy. It doesn't allow. Are you seeing the protesters have been brutally cracked down? They've been arrested and taken away. Even Rahul Gandhi was taken away by the police, and he had to spend a couple of hours before being released. But what we need to do, we need to remember that these protests are an indication of the level of frustration. It is an indication of how strongly people feel that they would risk staying on camera loud and clear and not worrying about the consequences. It's good to see pushback from you, some sense of not fearing power. And we are seeing less and less of it in India and its various parts of it. So when this comes, it's heartening, it's heartbreaking, it's a mix of emotions. So the people are coming out and they are protesting. And the government, what it's doing is using the police to arrest, beat up the protesters. This is not democracy. Even in democracy, as you can see, this is what's happening. Now, just to be like clear, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, the Chief Justice of, no, sorry, Pakistan, India, he described the protesters, the people, as cockroaches. And he took the side of the government instead of the students
Hmm.
who
But
were being wronged.
can this in Pakistan, if the Chief Justice of Pakistan said that to students or others, the cockroaches, do you think it would be this scale of the protest will be at this scale, or do you think it'll be lesser?
They've done a lot worse and
No,
they've got
because
away with it.
that situation didn't exist in Pakistan where exam papers were leaked. And if it did, the court or the Chief Justice said that, then there would be uprising. But I think it's been taking place several years. It's been taking for a long time, and now they can't control it, because before they could control it, and since a month we've seen so much people coming out in their tens of thousands, and also the social media has been used to, and so many I mean, they beat the government party in the numbers that their social media, what do you call it, accounts, the following and the viewers they're getting is far more, double, triple that. So this is, I think it's a little bit of, or not a little bit, but it's a public outcry against what's going on, the corruption.
So basically, the corruption in Pakistan is, would you say, is less than India or more than India?
Look, they what when the India and Pakistan gained independence, they were not allowed to bring in a new law. They continued with the British Raj, the Indian Penal Code of 1857, and they continued that law. And as you can see, they both in the same camp. Both India and Pakistan are still using the British common law. So if you can afford a good lawyer, you can do whatever you want. If you hire an accountant, you can do as much corruption as you want. All it takes is a backing of a politician or someone in power to allow you to do all that corruption. So that's why it's rotten at the root. This democracy is rotten at the root, and it needs to be removed. And a system needs to be imposed. Obviously, as Muslims, we believe that Islam is the only solution that can solve all of mankind's problems.
So when you say, are you referring to Islam or political Islam?
Are we going to that route, man? We're doing that one again, are we?
Look,
I think
Islam is a deen, it's a way of life.
yeah.
Islam is a complete deen, is a complete way of life. It's like me asking you, do you want political capitalism or do you want spiritual capitalism?
I think spiritual capitalism won't do me any good. But
what about political capitalism?
You never know. I might make more money, but that's what. But
so, on a serious note,
on a serious note, that's the psychology we have to defeat. You see, this is Amr Sahib, you have literally demonstrated that you've been fed that again and again and again, and you kind of internalize it. Now, so anytime you look at a solution, the word political has to be put in front of it. You don't see that the solution of Islam is a holistic one. Even when I say to you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and Muhammad sallallahu that Islam is the book for books.
If it's Islam, that would mean the conversion of what do you call millions of people.
Allah ne bandiya, in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal says that there is no compulsion in religion.
Yes.
There's no
Obviously,
compulsion. You
we've, we've
can no,
had, we've had
that
it.
has to come from ikhlas,
We've
right?
had in the past where
Sincerity.
a small minority of Muslims ruled over India, Mughal India, shall we say, and we've had that in the past. And obviously,
And, and
they,
and look,
and
you're outnumbered. They're still outnumbered. So that means that nobody was ever forced to
I think the Indians liked the Muslim movement because there was order and actually,
30% of the GDP. Why was it? It wasn't because it was because of the
yeah.
Muslims.
So I
They
think
had
this,
created the
yeah,
systems. The
yeah.
systems
No, no,
belong to who? The
I
system belongs to
agree.
Allah
I
Azza wa Jal,
agree.
and they had representatives of Allah Azza wa Jal in better or worse. Sometimes they weren't that as good. Those guys weren't that good, but they were still following Allah Azza wa Jal's system, and that bore 30% of gross domestic product globally. That's what the subcontinent was producing,
Mm.
right?
No, I just
So
what do you call, I just want to make sure, what do you call, we've got everything ticked. Obviously, we need to know what exactly when you say something,
no, what we
what does
have to
that mean?
say, Ahmad, like, no,
Mm,
seriously, with the class, we have to understand La ilaha illallah is the ultimate political statement. There is no going away from that. That is a statement. And in fact, even if we go back, if we just take some time, we have a cursory look at even the Quran, where Allah Azza wa Jal says that you made that promise. Now you have to get to work.
mm,
You're going to be the king of your land,
mm.
your planet in Jannah. But before you go that, you have to go share the dunya with all other kings, the other
I'm just
queens,
reading, I'm just
right?
reading
To
some of
work
the
together.
I'm just reading some of the background into this particular protest. Obviously, there's reports that there's 20 students nationwide that have died by suicide due to obviously the exams, especially when it was to do with the medical exams. So it looks like, and also up to 150 people were injured, and one female is critically injured in this current, shall we say, saga of protests. So, do you think things are going to get worse, or is there going to be calm?
If nothing changes, if none of there's 200 million Muslims in living in that part of the subcontinent. If none of them are going to be producing thought leaders that can get the continent out of the miserable state that it is in now, then yeah, it's just going to get worse before it gets better.
So,
And
do you think they will get what they are demanding? Because we know in like places like Kashmir, they make
maybe they will.
demands. They will not get.
Look at the pattern that happened in the last 5 years in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Maybe they will. Maybe Modi will go, but maybe Modi will go and someone else will step in
Right.
for better.
Okay. Mm,
I just want to add that I don't think these Gen Z generation is gonna accept to be pushed off
Hmm?
and achieve their aims. They are going to achieve their aim.
Yeah.
The fear that they had of coming out and speaking, as I told, obviously, as we know, there is an authoritarian regime, and the democracy, largest democracy in the world, as it's known, they are religiously, not religiously in the sense of normal Hindus. They've got an ideology called Hindutva, which means no Muslims in India, no Christians, no one else. No, so they're throwing them out and saying, look, we don't want these people. Well, I think this protest, which is the students led, they're not firing on them. They maybe beating them by police because they're from maybe Muslim. If it was Muslims trying to protest, we know what they would have done. So
mm.
it's this, although they want to achieve these aims and objectives of they want education minister to resign, the prime minister to resign. They will try that, and I think the more they are repressed, the more will come out.
Yeah, because I think Modi is concentrating on the, obviously you mentioned the RSS and Hindutva,
Mm.
But
obviously
this,
the
not like
extremist ideologies.
even when Modi came in for 2014, it was opportunity then for Pakistan, but now it's even more golden opportunity for Pakistan. The reason why I say Pakistan, this has nothing to do with nationalism. This is absolutely everything to do with that being the only place on earth after 1947 that declared that it was going to rule by the laws of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's the only place. That means that 900,000 soldiers that it has are Muslim soldiers, Muslim army. And those Muslim armies not for just Muslims. It's for all of humanity, as command
I
comes in
think
Surah
in the
An-Nisa.
past
So,
mere age of
bear
the
with me. So this is an opportunity, golden opportunity
mm,
for the army, for Asif Munir to give the order. We need to go liberate New Delhi for the sake of the millions of people that are being slaughtered on the ground for nothing,
mm,
right?
mm.
To line the pockets of corrupt kleptocrats and politicians.
Obviously we've got the Pakistan. Obviously you've said that what you call it was formed for Muslims only, but obviously Muhammad Ali Jinnah did.
Muslims and humanity. I mean, that's the element that we always forget.
Yeah,
If in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal commands to us that there is no compulsion in Deen. So what is it? And then and Surah Al-Nisa, Allah Azza wa Jal says to us, even if a woman or a child cries, no matter where, and Allah warns us, why didn't you go? You're gonna be asked. We're gonna be asked. Why
yeah,
didn't we go to save? Why didn't we go and answer the du'as of
yeah.
those? Right?
So I think
Of those cries.
the problem is obviously 1947, and I think it was still recognized as a dependency. It wasn't totally Azad. I think it was
Why
1950.
who recognized by who?
No, no, it was actually a crowd because there was still control from the British. Well, uh,
That's what we're saying. But why?
Mhm.
But why?
I
Why?
just
Why?
want
Why were they? And why are we still in that psychology of analyzing it in that such way?
because I think I'll answer it because the reason why is because Muhammad Ali Jinnah did not explicitly call for a caliphate. He was somebody who was liberal. Obviously, he wanted to alleviate the Muslims from. He knew that if they were in a minority, they would not succeed.
It was
So I
a
think,
common sense. It was an absolute common sense approach, right? You
yeah.
either stay or be slaughtered, and
So
we're seeing that now, right?
Gandhi
200
and
million
Muhammad
people,
Ali Jinnah
Muslims, are not
wanted
exactly
to
living their
take
lives.
Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah wanted to take the Indians, or shall we say, later on became Pakistanis. They wanted to take them out of the shackles of
And he
British.
wasn't also the brainchild of Pakistan. Wasn't just the brainchild of of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It was a culmination of ideas. Both ideas were valid. There were some that argued stay in the subcontinent and become the rulers once again, and then the other one was we split and come back,
Mm,
right? And that's where it is. This is what we're talking about, the Medina model, because the hijrah happened from Makkah to Medina to Yathrib, and then Yathrib became Medina, and then
mm.
Medina, those who were in Medina, and that drew more people. Remember, people coming into Medina. So this is a beautiful opportunity for Pakistan, and still is, because I see
Mm.
there's young, mashallah, students coming to Pakistan. There's students from China coming in, meaning that there's brains coming in, right? And that was what happened, and that was the reason why why the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to have an edge against the Quraysh when they came in before the Battle of the Trench, right? He had an edge because he had people from Sham, he had people from Abyssinia who had like people from Sham had seen how military campaigns were conducted, and they were able to bring those expertise, right?
So I'm just going to read you something. So Pakistan officially became an Islamic Republic on March 23rd, 1956, with the adoption of the 1956 Constitution of Pakistan. Prior to this, following its independence on 14th of August 1947, the country functioned as a dominion of Pakistan within the British Commonwealth. But obviously, the problem I'm saying is the
But who recognizes that?
the armies fought in the British because they fought in the British, then they had their own thinking. So we
Yes,
need new
but who
people.
was the brainchild
When the
behind
Islamic
that?
Republic
Wasn't
happened,
British.
we needed
They
new
developed
people,
people onto these
new army
Commonwealth.
people, because these army people they were
Go
already
again.
private. They were dodgy, I think, some of them. You know,
Some of them, I would say all of them.
they swore their allegiance for the British. Then all of a sudden they became swearing their allegiance for the Pakistanis.
But they're there to take orders.
I
They're
think
there to
we
take
needed
orders, and the
a
ones that
brand
supposed to
new.
give the orders are the ones that lead.
So we needed a brand new, I think, administration. So they should have got rid of all
And
the
you
and
can't get more brand new than from scratch. That's what Pakistan was. You can't
yeah.
get more brand new than that.
I
At
think the
least
problem is systemic. We always talk about the leaders, but what we need is a systemic change, a structural change.
yeah, like I'll be honest, Abdul Jabbar, I'm just gonna
So
assist you there because 100 years before
what
that,
you had is another nation state
Mm.
after the Second World War and the First World War. This had crippled Europe, and they couldn't afford to keep the colonies. There
Mm.
was too much pressure on the British Raj and the French to leave these and make them independent. But what they left behind were agents who looked like us, spoke like us. And what happened is, if these nation states that we call Pakistan, which has got its own flag, it's got, none of these nation states are allowed in Islam. What you need is a state that is representative of Muslims and Islam. It's not that it's going to treat non-Muslims as second-class citizens. They will be second citizens who can practice their religion, but they are equal before the law. And so, how the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, when they spread Islam, they did not colonize those lands. What they did was those lands that they liberated, they became the centers of learning. They became the cradle of civilization. If you look back
Medina to Baghdad.
to Uzbekistan, Tashkent, you can see Samarkand. When they came to India, look at how much progress India made. When they went to Baghdad, how much. So wherever, look at Istanbul.
Yeah.
Look at Spain. If it was meant to be like the British Empire or the French, the colonizers, they only brought the resources back to the capital.
There's a lot of gaps as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Muslims were all over the place. We're talking about Australia because remember Umar ibn Khattab had pretty much taken over the globe, right? He took over the globe. There was nothing left to take. Everyone was upon that. That was what the most one of the you can read into it, the most amazing things. And it's like just exactly what I'm just going to add to what Abdul Jabbar is saying. There's a systemic issue here, and that systemic issue came from a reactionary institutes that were born out of it, and then they got co-opted over time. So that this was when Victoria literally took over 99% of the globe. And let's talk specifically about the subcontinent because that's where Pakistan resides. And the same thing happened in Egypt and places like in Lebanon. Today Lebanon, and where the institutions were changed to secularize the understanding of even our religion. So now when you, Amr Saab, come at me and say, or come at us and say political Islam, that's born out of that. That was a 200 years worth of psychological embedding that we need to now break out of. We need to go back to the source. The source is the source of truth is the Quran, the book of all books.
This actually quite it leads us on to our next topic, and our next topic is rulers frightened by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala's laws, and I think I'll probably read something if I may. I think it's from. I think he was doing quite well, but until now. So is Burkina Faso president? What he said was, "I am a Muslim, but I will not implement Sharia." So he declared that individuals who travel to Saudi Arabia to study Sharia will not be permitted to re-enter the country.
I was gonna attack him, but I don't want to because at the end of the day, do you know what the problem lies? It's the muftis. Why is it that Ibrahim Traore wasn't a mufti? If he was a mufti, then he wouldn't have said that. would be championing.
Furthermore, he says the country will remain fully sovereign and secular. Uh, what do you make of this? Suppose we do know he has implemented a lot of changes, uh, and I think he was trying to get rid of a lot of corruption, and I think he's doing a good job until now. What do you make of this then? The what's up?
I think the corruption
Sorry, go
uh,
on, Abdul Jabbar, let
by
him go.
changing some of this, if he's got a nation state, he's got secularism, he doesn't believe in the Sharia, then somebody needs to explain to him what the Sharia is and why, as Muslims, we can see the effects of Western civilization, the Epstein civilization, and if he's not able to see that, then he's obviously no point talking to him because
These guys are trained by the West. They're in that ideology. No matter how hard they try, even if they want to get rid of the shackles, that shackle of shaitan is always going to be there because there is wahan. They love the dunya so much that they would literally, A'udhu Billah, stick the middle finger, Allahu Akbar, at Allah Azza wa Jal. That's effectively what that was. That we're not going to do Sharia. How can you call yourself a Muslim, man? Like if you're not going to do. And what is Sharia? What is taking 2.5% from the Muslims so that you can distribute to the poorest in your society? I mean, that's basically going to be the kitty that's going to produce your debt-free Burkina Faso, and that's going to be the kitty that can support, not entirely, but it can support the infrastructure that you have. And more importantly, you can even abolish all the taxation schemes that the French were applying, abolish all of them, and watch how businesses up and boom. But you don't want Sharia. You want to apply man-made laws, which means that you can apply taxes. It's a tax issue, man. It's a wahan. They want money, right? And the only way they can see, and for decades, but every single army gets its money from what? Taxation, right?
So I think he had made some economic reforms, like
Because
national.
in a Muslim, we go to jihad. It's called fi sabilillah. We do it for free.
Sure.
Right? Now that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. The psychology of Hussein radiallahu anh is impossible in it to follow, and it's the only way we're going to get to Jannah. Only way. Hussein radiallahu anh, Hussein al-Islam's psychology is how we have to frame ourselves.
Right. Okay. AJ, do you want to add anything to that? Because obviously we do know this particular individual who obviously is there's no democracy. I think you guys.
Well, inshallah, when the Khilafah comes back, he'll either join us or he will be for a lesson.
There's no room in between.
And the thing is,
what for? Room for what? What do you want to do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you all the Quran, has given you the Quran, the Sunnah, you've got the Sahaba.
Has there ever been anything between Haqq and Batil? Amr Sahib, if I steal your car, is there anything in between? I'm stealing your car, man.
So no, it's just obviously we call there's other ideologies. Obviously, and the Muslim adherents today.
And
and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, word to effect, that He has revealed the deen so that it may prevail over all other deens.
That's it.
It's not here to compromise with any other deen. So communism, capitalism, democracy, reject them.
Exactly.
The UN reject.
It comes down
Taghut is so Taghut.
Yeah, Taghut is man-made laws.
Yeah.
And Amr Sahib, like, put it this way, I was listening to this lecturer. She said she's no longer Christian, but I don't know, she prescribes to it. She said some interesting things. So it just got me thinking. Like I said to you, we made a covenant. We made that promise to Allah Azza wa Jal. We're going to represent Allah Azza wa Jal's system upon this universe, upon the universe, not just the dunya. Now, and then when you look back at the scriptures, they say that theirs was the first testament, what's it called, the Old Testament, which is what the Mosaic laws, and then you had the New Testament with Isa alayhi salam. So and we're the final testament. That's the final. The Quran is the final testament of Allah Azza wa Jal. In the end, the covenant had never changed. The covenant was with Allah Azza wa Jal. Nothing changed from everything from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to when Isa alayhi salatu wasalam comes. It's going to be the same. It's the same law, and that system is one. So you can't say, oh, is there a third system or is there a second system? It's one system. You go against it, you're going to do damage, right? That's what's
So
going to happen.
is the problem also the people as well? Obviously, is the majority of the people are Muslim, and he's made these statements. Says hasn't been any major uprising or anything.
And that is in the psychology. We're in fear. We're in fear, constantly in fear of losing jobs or losing life, imprisonment. Like Amr Sabu said it, man. There's only three ways for this. There's three outcomes for following this path: victory, which is guaranteed, or prison, or death. Victory and death are both guaranteed.
Interesting, right? And I think our next topic was to basically, which was recommended, that we talk about to demonstrate the power of the Quran. So obviously, we call the Quran is God's word, and is unchanged. And obviously, we call that's where we take everything from. And obviously, when we talk about
The book of all books, man.
yeah, we talk about political Islam. What do you call it's quite important. Then, as so what is the meaning? How can you demonstrate the power of the Quran? The WhatsApp.
It's quite interesting that we just finished off with the Ibrahim Traore's outrageous statement, and if the Quran was presented the way it should be presented, he would never have made that statement. He would never have made it. And the only people we can really, I don't even say blame ourselves. We blame ourselves first. Yes. Now that we're blaming ourselves means that we've accepted. Now we're going to move forward, and then the next people we need to start to target because they already have the knowledge, which is the imams, the leaders, and the muftis. They have the muftis have a very deeper understanding, and we need to get them out of this kind of fear trap, and start delivering the information that they have. Instead, from my experience, they're either playing sectarian games, including in the UK, Birmingham, or they're they're discussing unnecessary topics like council voting and how council voting is not going to liberate Gaza or council voting is going to liberate Gaza. So it's like, you guys, what? You're going even against your own. You should know what's happening in your constituency to the degree that there's no junkies on your streets, know that it's clean, and that these councillors are coming groveling to you for direction and understanding and leadership, not the other way around. So and just answering your question directly, this is the people the way we're going to present that is our next generation. Amrasab, your children, my children, all the Muslims, they're going to have to. We're going to cultivate those minds so that they go into careers with the Quran first. So they will become. They'll go into legal. They'll go into physics. They'll go into chemistry. They'll become leaders in those fields. They'll perform for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, and their direction and their clues, because the Quran is full of those clues. Ayat, as it translates to clue, signs. So through those signs, they're going to show you and show the next generation amazing things, man. I'm telling you, the kids in generations to come will literally say, "Oh dear, these guys were traveling on. Why were these guys traveling on metal ships that could fall down any minute and explode using combustion fuel, and when we could just have a push of a button or go where we want to go in seconds throughout the universe."
I think the would sometimes you're too advanced for us.
I'm not advanced. This is the system. It's Allah Azza wa Jal system. Do not think this is not coming from me. I'm not saying this is from the Quran. These things are possible. These things have been mentioned that happened in the past. Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us, don't think that you're too big because those who came before us were way better than us. Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us in the Quran.
So early Muslims early Muslims established lighter swords. So is that similar to that, or is something totally different?
It's just a byproduct of that's just the small speck of what is possible, right? We're talking about our first kind of priority is to restore dignity. I mean, how dignified is it for those people to be called cockroaches?
Mm.
That's how bad the world
That's-
is. As
But I think
to
I
be
think I think the Muslims of Palestine and definitely Urdu places, they are probably, I would say, they don't even treat it like cockroaches. These people, obviously they're protesting, they're being somewhat injured, but in what we're
you
seeing in
see,
Gaza.
you're getting it, Amr. You see, understand? Like we're living in a time where the dignity is completely removed. We're going to be answerable for this, man. We're going to say, well, this was going on in 2026.
That's why I agree there has to be, especially in the Muslim lands, there needs to be some kind of Islamic system where it acts as a
The issue, you're locking it into a land. It has to be universal. The solution can come from UK. It comes from your backyard. It could be your kids in not just your house, but kids in the whole of Bradford coming together. Those who have the acumen, because this is going to take a toll, and there's only certain type of individuals that can
Mm,
go into the mind and try to expand and using the clues from the Quran and 10, 15, 30, 40 of those come together to
I think,
expand, they could change the globe,
mm.
right?
So what if it's universal isn't that telling us, isn't that like, are we telling us that we're closer to the end of times when it does happen?
What?
That we call you said you use the word universal where um, uh, when that happens, isn't that?
I was saying universal because you keep wanting to lock it down to a land or something. Like, no, universal, the whole universe. You got to think universally that this is not just you conquering the dunya. Remember these words. You came to shape the world, not survive it. So that is what we need to embed in our children, and we also need to embed next year in Jerusalem.
Mm. Well,
And
that is quite positive. AJ, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so when you look at the basis of Islam, which is the proof of the creator existing, we believe in the existence of a creator. We cannot comprehend him. Now, after we have rationally proved that there is a creator by the science, the reality, looking at the universe, that it cannot come by itself. So therefore, there must be a creator. Now, we also have the proof of the messengers that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't send us here without a message. He sent messengers. Before the Prophet ﷺ, there was prophets before sent for a certain time and a certain people. But the Prophet ﷺ was sent for all times and all places. Now, coming to the Quran, basically, the Quran, you're not taking it blindly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, uh, uh, provide or create a surah like unto it, or make a surah. The smallest surah is, I think, 3 lines, 3 sentences, or if not, even bring one sign, one ayah to disprove it. And from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when the Quran was revealed, up till now, that challenge remains.
And that's
And
not just for the
also,
kuffar. That's the most amazing thing, Amr Sahib. That's not. It's not for them. It's for us and the believer to look at it, and then through that clue itself, we can expand and rediscover amazing things. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla is challenging us because we're not using half our brains. We're not using 10% of our brains most of the time, and it's not for everyone, right? It's for unique individuals, and we need to try to tap into them and cultivate those individuals, give them the space required. Because
Mm,
at the moment, the guys that are leading who have questionable morals. Like Stephen Hawking's, what was he doing on Epstein's island? But yet, if you talk about cosmology, he's the leader at the moment. And so this is what we have to create those Hawkins in the Muslim community. We need to um, and get to the next level, because it's physics today. It could be something else tomorrow.
I think it's interesting where they compare certain individuals very positively and other individuals negatively. So, like Michael Jackson, who actually now there's a film about him. Obviously, they said all sorts of things about him, but he was actually there was a unreleased track which he had was I think it's about Palestine, and obviously, which is quite surprising. Obviously, I think people were trying to silence him. Obviously, there's other conspiracy theories as well, especially like Charlie Kirk and others. But I think we'll go back onto our the topic of Iran. Obviously, uh, we've got so much issues going on in the world. We're not going to cover them. Obviously, even though we try to be based on current affairs. So the Iran escalation, uh, and obviously there was been escalations, de-escalations. How should Muslims respond? The Woodsab. I think this is mainly your topic.
It's both of our topics, all of our topic. I kind of, it was in my head. I didn't know what to say, because at the end of the day, 200 kids, 200 children were slaughtered, and for nothing. They knew exactly what they were doing, and we're talking about de-escalation. And with individuals who slaughter your children, that's not going to happen. If they've done it in Palestine, how can
Do
you
you,
speak to these people? You can't. Yeah, there's only one way out. And as you're seeing the posturing from the UK, policies that are being risen, they're outlawing any kind of challenging of thought. So
they
Hamas has
do.
been outlawed, HT has been outlawed, now IRGC has been outlawed, and who's left? And it all started because organizations that we were presenting to us as unsavory, like they're outlawing Al Qaeda, what, and sorry, Al Muhajirun, all these guys. So at the end of the day, they 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 paint to us they believe in freedom of speech, but yet they want to control our speech and our thought. So, and this is where the Muslims, the clergy, have to step up. Stop talking about nonsense. I remember someone sent me a video of a Surah Rashid talking about Mirpur community. I don't care what is it with you and sectarian is this guy, man? You're meant to be an imam. You're meant to be talking about universal issues, and this guy's talking about the Mirpur community. And I'm like, what have I stepped into some strange timeline where imams are just not doing what they should be doing, while you're going to be criminalized. You're next, right? Your mosques are next, right? Because if you're going to stay quiet, you're next.
I think you've done an overview of like two, three topics there. So I think I'm going to go back to the first topic, the Woodsab. So, but
So
do you think that the US, they've done that attack on 200 odd girls, they've killed them, uh,
uh,
school children or the schoolgirls, I think, and they've killed them, and everybody knows it's pretty obvious that they've done it. But do you think they do it because they know they can get away with it?
they're not going to get away with it, of course not. But they do it because
How are they not going to get away with it? In this, are you talking about after this life or the afterlife?
both. They're not going to get away with it if we do our job right in this world, and definitely they're not going to get away with it in the next life,
Mm.
right?
No, I
But
know, but why they can get away with it in this life? The reason why I'm saying that is because of the weakness of the
Muslims
Ummah.
are not stepping up, man. We're not
They're-
stepping up. But
they're-
for
this-
instance, why did Pakistan want to mediate?
because Donald Trump told him.
But why? Who's his Khuda? Is it Donald Trump or Allah Azza wa Jal?
At the moment, I don't want to say that, but
What?
you know what?
Listen, we have to. This is what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I want you to go back to when you were like 5, 7, 8, 13 years old, because these are the same questions. That's how we start need to go back to that, because we're closer to the fitra at that age. Those are the questions we got. We got. Those are how we got to pose these questions. inshallah. And that's how we're gonna go back to the Quran all the time.
We'll go into your next topic, the Woods Up. So this particular topic, the Woods, I just have. So obviously, there's been Iran escalations with regards to the schoolgirl massacre. Obviously, is horrendous what's happened, and obviously the people should be accountable in this life as well. But what I'm trying to say is, do you think they know they can get away with this? Obviously, the Israelis, the Zionists, have got away with genocide. Do you think these people know that they can cause major outrage and get away with it?
They can't get away with it because these agents that they have in the Muslim countries will not lift a finger at them. They know that. And that's why they fear the return of the Khilafah. And the Khilafah will release the armies, and the Khilafah army will liberate Palestine and Kashmir and wherever there is Muslim and the Muslims are being suppressed, that the army of the Khilafah will move. There's no doubt about that, and we need to understand that, and we need to tell people not to rely on going to the UN, not write to the MPs, not go to British Parliament. Don't waste time. You need to go to the armies and tell them, get rid of these rulers and help support the Khilafah. Bring that into existence. Get rid of the nation states. The lines that have been drawn by France and Britain and the colonialists. They're only lines in the sand. They were only written in the last century. What happened before? So what we are working for, and this is what prophesied by the Prophet ﷺ and is mentioned in the Quran, that the Khilafah that will come now, it will be the Khilafah on the method of prophethood. So it's not going to be, the Khilafahs that had issues. It will not be like that. It will be rightly guided Khilafah. The Khilafah Rashida model you saw. But if Muslims don't wake up, they could be next.
But it looks like it. They've already got plans that is probably next, and obviously we've got other people's are planning. Obviously, we don't get to see everything. But what I tell you is, obviously, we've got this issue, and is it the people in, for example, Pakistan or Saudi Arabia who are weak, or is the leadership too strong? What's going on?
Amr Sahab, this is all about coming together. Doesn't matter whether there's people sitting in Pakistan or sitting in Saudi or UK, America, Canada. All the Muslims from all over the globe need to come together. They need to gather strength. The fastest way we can really do that, I'm just going to give you an example from the UK, is mosques becoming the largest lobby this nation has ever seen. You watch within months how tunes change. You will never, no Muslim would ever have to vote in a ballot again. They'll by default, just the same way the Zionists took over, Muslims are going to be driving.
We're not weak, we're not weak. It's just that all our resources are mismanaged.
Exactly.
And our armies are not weak. If you remember last year when the Indians came inside Pakistan, they lost 5 of their Rafale airplanes. So the armies and the air forces and everything that we have is enough to take on the world. All we need is a change of leadership and a change of system. That's why I'm saying, and we're trying to repeat that structural structural change is what is needed. And this new world order, this secular world order needs to be replaced by the Islamic world order, which is the Khilafah state.
That's good, well said, but at the moment it does look like we are far from it. So that's why obviously it's good to have this debate, open and honest debate. Obviously, how do we get to
Yeah.
this stage? Obviously, it looks like we're millions of miles away.
No, we're not millions of
The
miles
only
away. We
thing
just
that failed, the
what
only
was
thing,
it? What did
the only thing,
Malcolm X famously say? What did he say? He said, "It's not that we are outnumbered; we are out organized. We just need to organize."
the only thing that could what do you call get rid of the United States is a natural disaster. I don't think, and
Why
there's
do we want to? We don't want to destroy anybody. We just
It's
what we want to
struggling.
do.
nobody
It's
saying
struggling.
Mm,
America is in tatters at the moment.
because
yeah,
they are instructing Pakistan, they are instructing Saudi Arabia. They've got Syria on. They've got everybody, basically all around them, listening to them like good boys. That's what I'm trying to tell you is
that's
probably
how
going
it's being. That's how
to
it's being
is
painted,
is
right?
going to
That's how it's being presented.
All
That's not
all it
entirely.
requires,
imbalance.
all it requires. I don't know if you follow the events that have been happening, the protests and the anger Yuma has, and we have been contacting and we are trying to contact the sincere officers in the army, sincere politicians, sincere who have some, and they agree with us. There's a lot of clergy that agree with us. There's been,
If you look at
this is what you're saying now is the public awareness is ready, and what is needed is a change of leadership, and
yeah,
we have the system ready.
the if you look at what happened in Libya and what happened with Saddam Hussein, say what we can say what they did commit crimes. That's not going to be denying that. But what was Saddam Hussein's last statement? He read Suratul Kafirun, right? He read that to the um, the judge that was bought by Americans. Now that's how he went out. He went out he went out the best possible way he could. And then you look at what happened with Gaddafi. Gaddafi between 2005 and 2011, he was bringing back. He was pretty much by this point abandoning the socialist book that he had, the Green Book. So he was bringing back. He it was called a reconciliation package, calling back people that had left the brain drain that happened in the 70s when he took power, and people fled because they were afraid, and rightfully so because he was doing some dodgy stuff himself. But then he had a repatriation, and he was pretty much going towards Islam, like reopening Sharia courts, everything, clergies, mosques, funding nikahs for the similar kind of thing that happens in Malaysia, giving new couples go umrah or hajj depending on the time of the year, and so so that's what he was gearing Libya towards. And he was, I mean, if you want to talk about Khalifa, he was probably the closest thing that coming to that because he wanted a single currency in Africa. But the real threat for NATO wasn't necessarily the single currency. They could manipulate that easily. It was the fact that he was going to use Islam. He was going to use the book of all books to 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 achieve his means. And that was the same situation with Saddam. Like he was lobbing rockets at Tel Aviv, right? Every Friday, every Jummah, after the Jummah khutbah. So these kind of, like, I understand human beings, we do bad things and we need to come back. We need to go back to the Quran. I mean, there was, if you look at Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu and how people were scared of him, and he was very, very violently against Muslims, but yet he became the one of the best Amir al-Mu'mineens, right? So subhanallah, like, we have to look at this, and Asif Munir could turn that around. He commands 900, almost a million Muslim soldiers, and and you say that he's a hafiz. If he goes through the Quran and he does that, he becomes that, he'll be celebrated for generations.
Look at what happened when there was a plot to destroy the what do you call it, the delegation that was going to G7 conference, which Munir was in. And when they found out that they're going to get targeted by the Israelis and blown up, they sent a message to Israel that if you try anything, we will destroy you. There will be no Israel left. Now, he's can say for himself, why not go and
For the
help the
Ummah, not
Muslims
for
in
the
Gaza?
why not for the children in Gaza?
Why not for the children in Gaza?
Because that would solidify his position in Jannah. That
Yes.
would be so amazing.
And he will be accountable for that if he doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
I think obviously you mentioned Saddam, you mentioned Gaddafi. Obviously, these were former, shall we say, very close friends of the West, and I did see some towards that, especially Saddam Hussein, the way he was hanged, killed. I think that was surprising and shocking to see, and it was pretty violently killed. Obviously, what do you call. And he chose to remember uh, God at the final point, and which is
That
I
wasn't for him. That wasn't for Saddam. That when he read Surah Al-Kafirun, just bear with me 1 second. You're gonna find this amazing. That wasn't necessarily for him. But he at that point he'd already positioned himself for Jannah. He will be accountable for things he did. If the victims don't, then he will be. But he's going to Jannah. Allah knows best. However,
but
that Surah Al-Kafirun was for the judge. It was
yeah,
for the judge because the
yeah.
judge could have turned it around. The
But
judge could have solidified his
before
position in Jannah.
before he was killed or hung, shall we say, to death on, shall we say, a false. It was a false court, false judge, and I think he read the what do you call the. Did he read La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasulullah or did he read the Shahadat Ijazam? Can you
Qul ya
remember?
al-kafirun.
Sorry, I missed who you were saying.
Saddam Hussein on his before he was hanged, at the time that he was being hanged.
Read Surah Al-Kafirun.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that. I'll be honest
Check it
with
out. It's
you.
on you.
I knew that he,
Mm.
It's very
before he died, to be honest with you, I don't know. I do know that he, while he was the president and while his reign ran, he did a lot of zulm on the people
yes, he did.
Yeah,
and unnecessary.
he read the Shahada, and I'll just check this. So he read the Shahada, which people at that time should be fearful. So
He read the Shahada before the hanging, but what did he read in the court?
yeah, that was before. I know. I understand. That was before, and obviously we call this is all false call, and obviously may have changed. Obviously, we need more leaders like that, like you mentioned. So, Asam Munir, is he going to change overnight? I
We
don't know.
don't need
It could
leaders like
happen.
that. They're not going to change. Don't hold. Don't have hope in them.
I'm not have hope
I'll
in
be
them.
not
I have
saying
a,
no.
it's the next
Just
generation.
get rid of them.
Mm.
It's the
There's
next
enough
generation.
good, honest and sincere officers in these armies.
Okay.
Why
So,
try to these people that don't fear Allah?
well, obviously, we call. I don't want to
We
be in
can
the.
depend on that.
I was
No,
going
if
to
you
ask you.
want.
I want to ask Amr Saab something. Like, do you know when you say political Islam, do you actually mean? Do you understand like why we and Abdul Jabbar are always thrown back by that? Do you get it?
Obviously, I think.
No, no, because look, because I don't want to start throwing stones at our leaders when we as a layman don't understand our own language, our definitions. That's why.
I understand. I understand that. What do you call there is the political is it seems like something. A
You see what I'm
part
saying?
isn't the main thing. I think some people paint it that having the political Islam, like I think previously you mentioned, that it should be part of the There should be more pillars. Obviously, I said there's five pillars of Islam, and I think in the past you said there should be more pillars. So I think
No, I didn't say that. That's what they are. I'm saying you see what I'm saying? You see those definitions, those elements that have been removed in our kind of understanding of Islam is the reason why we keep producing these people like Ibrahim Traore and
mm,
people like Asif Munir, who you say that is also a Hafiz of the Quran. But it's that's it. It's even in
like
the Allah Azza wa Jal, isn't it scary that Allah Azza wa Jal even reminds us in the Quran that they recite the Quran but it doesn't go below their throats. That's frightening. That is,
the
you know.
martyred people of, for example, Gaza, they haven't had the caliphate, but obviously there was no chance of them getting that. There was no help from anybody. So what I'm trying to say is, what do you call them believing in God was
There
sufficient.
was help. There was help. Unfortunately, we didn't do it. What did we do in this country? We just spent billions and billions and billions of pounds building masjids. We didn't build billions of pounds building networks with one another across the whole globe as Muslims, as a clergy, as muftis, and then driving policy. You know, the UN, let me
Mm.
just give you 1 second. The UN openly gloats at the fact that Muslims were not involved in any of the formation of the UN. They gloat in it. Just think about that for a second. They gloat in that. That's they accept that they accept that charge that no Muslim, no clergy was involved in forming any of the policies of the United Nations or forming any kind of mental framing of its formation, right?
Mm.
So and that's entirely the fault of Muslims. We cannot. So these children that are burning today, that's on us. That's on us. It's on our previous generations as well. So, but mainly on us because we didn't change anything. We saw. Look, I'm 30, 36, and in my eyes, I saw Iraq happen, Afghanistan happen, Libya happen, Syria happen. So, what did I do? What did my generation do? They were buying £500 belts. Auzubillah. Yeah. So and I remember fighting with them back then, and I don't know why I was, but you see, our psychology is wahan. We have a love for the dunya, and have. It's not even that we're scared of the death. It's like we don't even understand what death is. If we understood what's coming, then we wouldn't be scared of it. We'd be inviting it with our chest open, saying, "Ya Allah, take us you're pleased with us." And the only way we can do that is if we use every single day to work towards implementing Allah's baseline, Allah's system. And that can happen. All it needs is pen and paper, man. We're not even talking about throwing bullets yet. That policy can change everything. Like Abdul Jabbar said, just the sheer threat of Asif Munir, they were sending paper. I was in not paper, emails to digital emails to the oppressors that we will finish you. But why was it that you didn't even think about that after 7th of October when they were slaughtering our children, maiming our babies?
Mm. Yeah, no, obviously, I think for me, obviously, what do you call believing in Allah is probably the most important thing, and that's why I think that there is that difference when you say
Believing and doing. We this is what the difference is. Muslim is a doer. We have to do the work. We have to put in the work. We have to. It's not just a case of
and
we've
how
done salah, we're
political
gonna go Jannah.
is supreme. It will be supreme. It'll be the perfect conditions. Obviously, as I
We're
keep
not after perfect conditions. We're working towards uplifting everybody. We are here to help one another. You will realize this. Amr Sahib, but whenever you help somebody and you're satisfied that that person you help them, that's the level of satisfaction. What is it? How is it like? What do you feel?
no, it's
It's
good.
it's
It's
better than even eating or anything else, isn't it? And that's why Allah Azza wa Jal, that's a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal, because it's saying, yeah, the reason why we always want to fight one another is because we are from Jannah, and in Jannah all of us are going to have our own planet, right? That's why we want to attack one another. I want to be on top of you. You want to be on top of you. That's just our natural order. But we have to the reason we fight that natural order is to apply Allah's baseline, because that was a promise we made. We said, Ya Allah, we want to be when everything else said that we're not gonna take this zimma. Adam alayhi salam, we took that responsibility. And even when we were presented that out of 1,999 are going to go to Jahannam.
Hmm.
999, most of us, 99% of us are going to go Jahannam. And we still took that responsibility. We still took that zimma, and that's not an easy one to um, uphold. And this is the job of the imams. They should be inspiring this. That's Asif Munir's, Ibrahim Traore's. They if they felt what I'm feeling, what we're seeing, they would behave completely different. And now that they exist, they're in positions. We can't change that. What we can do is we can change is the generation that are coming up, that they have this connection with the Quran, with the book of all books, and that from that the book of all books that they develop their careers that make them perform in such an elite manner that they transform humanity, re-establishing Allah's baseline, and as Abdul Jabbar says, the Khilafah.
So, Abdul Jabbar, having Iman, is it more important than political Islam? Or is it, for you, is it the same thing?
Iman is belief and action.
Say that again, sorry.
Iman is belief and action.
Okay.
And the whole Islam is political in the sense that Islam came for the dunya, came to solve the dunya's problems. So if you take politics out of Islam, you will have an opposite. You'll be secularizing Islam, because you will confine Islam in the mosque to his prayers or wherever you call ibadat. What's going to happen to your muamalat? Can you not see outside what's happening in the world? This was, these problems where people are just following their desires. There's other ideologies that will take over. So people are living in a capitalist ideology, and look at the problem that's created. They secularize, they do so many things, they're not bothered, because the majority of people are affected by the ideology that this country. And we're living in an ideologically charged society where women advertising on everywhere you see is the spread of this evil ideology of capitalism. Now, because of this, what we're saying is, in the Muslim countries, there should be the ideology of Islam. The Muslims should be allowed to choose their own destiny and have the Khilafah system. And that will obviously be a way out for humanity from the death or darkness that we are in into the light of Islam. Today, we do not have the political system of Islam.
Yep. No, obviously I'll probably just mention at the end. Obviously, we've got for a couple of minutes. Obviously, we've seen when there is the political Islam, Islam flourishes, and obviously we do. That's I think our last hope.
Yeah, you go again, man. Political Islam. It's just Islam, man.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
You see, that's what I'm telling you, Musab. It goes into, it seeps in, right? Always reflect on just the Shahada. That's just that. That's part of the 5 pillars.
I
Just
understand.
reflect on that, and that'll be enough for you to really understand.
The
This
group,
is not an easy path, man.
I think the topics were which we're just gonna touch on groups like Hizb ut-Tahrir, and I think you mentioned Al Majnoon, was it? And
Muhajirun, I think it was.
Al Muhajirun, and a couple of others. They've been basically banned, and I think there's some Muslim nations that want to ban Hizb ut-Tahrir worldwide, and Muslim Brotherhood.
There's only one. We talked about this last week, man. Which Muslim? There's no Muslim nations, man.
Are they political bans or the criminal bans?
They're political bans, aren't they? Yeah.
I think
Political
the,
bans.
The bans on thought. On
Yeah.
thought. They're not. They didn't commit. Did when's the last time you saw a HD guy do anything other than write books? Right. Right.
no,
And when's the last time you saw Al Muhajirun do anything other than say something that you didn't like? That's it. They didn't kill anybody. Right. Uh, that was it.
I think the leader, what is it? I forgot his name. Is it Chaudhry something? Chaudhry, Anjam Chaudhry.
Actually, you know what? Let me give you an example. Okay. Um, you guys watched that movie? What was it? If you watched it, this is the last time I watched BBC. Believe it or not, it was the last thing I ever watched on BBC. It was called "A Muslim Like Me" or British Muslim, something like that. But in there, they had Abdul Haq, who was formerly a boxer called Anthony Smalls, and I think he was associated with Al Muhajirun. Now, if you watch that episode, you tell me one thing. Out of all of those clowns that were in there, I was billah. I want to astaghfirullah, sorry, apologize, not calling all the Muslims that were in there, or those who, some of them calling them Muslims but had concerning views, ideas. But again, that's not their fault. That's clergy's fault again. But anyway, so out of all of them, who would you want to back you in a fight? Who, in fact, who would actually come running to help you in a fight?
So sorry, if Aegis, if you can answer that. I was just reading something.
I think I'll get him to back me. What was the name you said?
It was Abdul Haq.
Abdul Haq.
So the boxer.
To be honest with you,
Yes.
I won't really
He'd be,
need back.
he'd be the only one, right?
I usually get-
and if you watch the show, they try to paint him so bad, but yet,
Yeah.
if as a Muslim, when you look at it, no, actually, he's the only based one there. He's the only one who's talking about the Islam. He's the only one who said
Yeah.
"Qul al-kafirun." Like there's one guy saying, "Oh, I'm gay, I'm a Muslim," but he's saying, "No, that's lakum dinukum waliya deen." To you, your deen, my deen.
That's
That's what
crazy.
he said.
What was that called?
It was called British Muslim or Muslims in Britain, and they put all of them in one house, like Big Brother or something, right? It was the last thing I watched on BBC. After that, I said I just this nonsense.
Don't have time for them, man.
Yeah,
So-
it was like 10 years ago.
Okay, the Woodsap, you keep mentioning the torch or leaders and what do you call?
No,
Is
but
there?
Amr, it's a question for you. This guy, mashallah, he was based. I mean, you can watch it for yourself. He was based, and he's a boxer, and by all means, because he's upon haq, and he would come running to defend you. Do you think your local imam with a pot belly would do the same? No, he'd
No.
say it's a police job. He would literally say it's a police's job. No, it's your job. You're the imam. You're supposed to be stopping crime on your streets
Mm.
by implementing the correct systems.
So, is there any torch leaders that we should be looking into now, or we should be following? Obviously, these are all banned organizations, and more especially in the East as well. Some of these are banned.
You should not look for any thought leaders other than the
What
Muhammad
you're
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
talking about is dictatorships and dictators and kingships and even democracies. Why are they running them? They're not banning them because they are a threat to those countries. Just they have politically what do you call it? They're doing a political accountability of them. So we don't accept anyone to do take a political stance, whether it's Islamic or secular parties.
These
What
guys
they
were
do is when they're in power, they try to ban all the other parties.
Amr Sahib, Islam is the thing that literally, if it came tomorrow, anywhere, it would mean zero taxes. Do you understand? Like, let's say, hypothetically speaking, King Charles became a Muslim. If he was upon ikhlas, all taxes tomorrow be finished. Parliamentarians would be discharged, right? Civil servants would be discharged, apart from the, and all that stuff. So that's how frightening this reality is for the powers or the instruments, right, of power. It is, because it just literally it takes the dunya away from them. It's the love for the dunya and hate for the death. And I don't know. There was a interview. We all familiar with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there was an interview he did with someone, like, and that's all he was bitching and moaning about. Oh, I hate death. Death is the one thing I hate. But look at him, man. I was like, this guy has lived the life, lavish life, all this life, and now look, he's afraid of death. Astaghfirullah. So you,
Mm, interesting. I think we've had an interesting debate. I think we will call it a day because even though it's late at night, midnight here, but we call Aegis up and the Woods up. Thank you very much. I think it's interesting. Obviously, we need to know the nitty gritty details, and we need to, try to reestablish.
not the nitty gritty, man. The clear details in the Quran.
Yeah,
And the only way we can really decipher it is through the Sirah. Well, we'll start to decipher it through the Sirah, or approaching it that way.
yeah.
That,
So basically, okay, now that you mentioned that, do you think obviously that we should reach that goal by any means necessary, or should it be, some people some people say you can get to that means by lying, by deceit, and all that. Do you think you should?
did,
Uh,
Umar, did Abu Bakr as-Siddiq achieve it that way? Did Umar bin Khattab achieve it that way? Did Uthman Affan radiallahu anhu achieve it that way? Did Ali radiallahu anhu achieve it that way? Listen, man, this is why I say Hussein. Hussein is a psychology. Hussein alayhi salam psychology is the one that we have to get behind, because that's the most difficult one. That's the only way we're going to get re-establish the likes of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, re-establish the likes of Umar ibn Khattab again. Those type of people. And
What? Mhm.
the reason why I mentioned obviously there's even in the people who are non-Muslims, they know of the word. I think is it called takia, where you could lie in certain circumstances.
astaghfirullah.
No,
Lying
no.
is forbidden to the believer, man. We have to. We got Surah Ikhlas. Qul huwallahu ahad. We have to have. It's even called Ikhlas. We have to be honest.
The Zion
Sincere.
ideology has got there by lies, deceit,
So
and
let me just
our
the
yeah,
end. The ends do not justify the means. So if you look at the objective, it does not justify the means. So as an example, the Khilafah, if that's the end, we cannot use other than the Prophet's method. We cannot use any other method.
So what I've heard from you guys is the best way possible is a person at the top, a leader, will change his ways. And like for example, I'm just using the example Asim Munir, who probably will change his ways.
Abdul Jabbar is focusing on the Khilafah. I'm talking about on the work that needs to be done to get there, and the work that needs to be done. I'm showing you the way is
These
through
people
the
change
children.
right, but obviously, so
And the clergy now, like we need to grab them by
for
the
them
necks and
to
say,
change,
"Look, man,
they need
give
to
us a sign."
they need to seek forgiveness for their past sins and then start anew, or can they just start?
What?
What was that?
I'm just talking
They
about
don't,
because
yeah, so
Wait,
don't
wait,
believe.
wait, if they become upon Ikhlas,
my opinion of a caliph would probably be that he's some kind of pious person.
why
He's
does he?
got the
What?
7 conditions, and majority of people are around, all most of the Muslims. But like you're mentioning, there is already people that are capable of taking the position of Khilafah.
Like who?
Like you mentioned, those who are like if you look the Amir of Hizb ut-Tahrir, he's a qualified mujtahid. He's Muslim. All the 7 conditions, he fulfills them. So he's already prepared. He done all the work. So why is somebody the other guy who doesn't know that? Why? How is he going to be able to do that? It's like a
So
job, isn't it?
then
It's not like a
Abdul
job. Sorry,
Jabbar,
it's not like a
Abdul
job.
Jabbar,
It's
what we
a
need to do is get them
responsibility.
to. We need to get the people to put in the work to get him into the position of power.
Yes.
So that's what it is. So we need to get the
Does he?
that
Yeah. So this he doesn't hold any power, does he? That's what he got. Because
So
in most
he will
countries,
get the power is at the first, obviously, because there is no Khilafah today. The Ahlul wal Aqd, the people of power, once they're ready to provide the support and the nasr,
hmm.
nusra. So they if they're ready to provide the nusra, then they can give nusra to
where, where is
him.
where is this leader based? Where is he based? This particular leader.
So this is it can't be disclosed because you've got people that are kidnapping our brothers in Pakistan,
Country, which
in
country,
other Middle East. People are being
countries?
so there is a certain communication between, and he's able to communicate with us, but like disclosing his where he is at, we don't know.
So obviously we don't know where the Iranian. Obviously, we started this conversation from the Iranian, so we don't know where the Iranian supreme leader is, and he's got some power. So do you think that leader that we've got, we're going to have the Caliph, he has to have, he has to adhere to. Obviously, there was no Sunni and Shia in the early years of Islam. Do they need to adhere to certain
Well,
ideologies?
the guy was a nationalist. They even now they're nationalists. So the ones that upon the Quran, they're not interested in just mere borders and land. They are interested in universal ruling upon
Yeah.
Allah's Wajal's kitab.
Hmm.
It's almost Jummah. So well, Jummah in a couple of days. What's it called? Surah Al Jummah. What's it called? Yatlu alayhim ayat wa yuzakkihim. Can't remember the rest. But basically,
Can I, yeah.
Allah Azza wa Jal says, look at the clues in the Quran, and وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So use the hikmah, use wisdom, and and yeah. So it's I recommend checking out IMS Islamic Messaging System. They've done a quite nice breakdown on Surah Al Jummah, and this is something the Imam should be talking about every Friday.
So in essence, what is it? What is Surah Al-Jummah?
Surah Al Jummah is talking about is it's laying the framework for Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on what we have to do, right, and the steps that we have to take. In fact, as we're here, let me quickly bring it up. It will take me 2 seconds. Islamic.
Right. Whilst you're looking for that, so probably we're going to be in another minute or so. So, with these leaders, obviously, I think we're far, far, far away from. But how am I wrong in saying that, or are we actually close by? Are we quite close?
Whether we are close or far, the work has to be done. Because we're going to be answerable for the actions that we took.
So, what are the requirements that we should be doing then? I'm just, just a quick one. Ages up. Why should you looking for that? The WhatsApp. What's the requirements that we should be doing? For example, should we be
So,
voicing our,
so,
should we be raising
so,
our, or raising
so
our?
study the seerah,
Yeah.
study the seerah. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his Sahaba. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam set up a group of Sahaba. He prepared them for 3 years. I'm just giving you a seerah how the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba, they took on the evils in society. They spoke against that, and they called towards Hijrah, which is Islam. But then you had a struggle, which was against the Quraysh. The Quraysh, they were persecuting the early Muslims. So some of them were sent to Abyssinia, but majority of Sahaba were in Makkah. They continued the work until they moved to Medina, and where they set up the Medina state, where the laws and all the institutions were from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, I mean, this is even like, it's a long discussion on Tinder,
But,
how
but
you,
what I wanted to find out is the basics. So do we need to speak up about justice? Do we need to speak up against the ills of society? Do we need to speak
We
up
need to
our
we need to gather together to gather the strength through the masjids, man.
so, for
That's
example, somebody in Pakistan, for example, who there's supposed to be a Muslim leadership. There's Muslim, the adherents are mainly Muslims. So what should they be doing? Should they be calling for the leaders to change?
that's again that's something the clergy should be doing there, the like of Taqi Usmanis. But I've got the ayat here. So Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Yatlu alayhim ayat. So this is breaking it down. This category emphasizes a comprehensive study of Allah's sign, both in external, natural world and within ourselves. Members will research in this area of interest in natural sciences guided by Quranic verses and hadith. The aim is to uncover deeper meaning and practical implications for human benefit, advancing knowledge in fields like biology, astronomy, physics, and more. Now, وَيُزَكِّهِمْ. This category focuses on morality at both individual and community levels. It will explore human nature, strengths, and weaknesses, highlighting how Allah's guidance is essential for achieving the highest standards of morality and purity. The study will provide insights into personal development and ethical conduct rooted in Islamic teachings. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. This category involves extracting laws and guiding principles from Al-Kitab that apply to various aspects of life. The focus will be on understanding Allah's commandments and how they shape personal, social, and legal frameworks, offering guidance and guardrails for humanity. وَالْحِكْمَةَ. This category will focus on identifying and addressing both current and future challenges facing humanity. Members will analyze the root causes of these issues and apply Quranic principles and guidance as demonstrated in the Seerah to develop practical solutions across various domains, not limited to governance, security, economics, health, education, etc.
I think we will end it there. Obviously, you've given us the whole should we say, thesis on how
Yeah, exactly. But this is the job of the imams to be giving us these tasks on Friday.
the
And imagine what we could do. That's just a few ayat. That's one ayat actually.
mm.
Yeah.
I think obviously the people need to be better themselves. Obviously, the way with the people are
And the best way we better ourselves is together. We come together,
the way the
gather
people
the
are,
strength.
how the leaders are. I think yeah, hopefully we can inshallah see soon in our lifetimes. What do you call it, sort of Islamic caliphate where there's justice and obviously there's so much injustices and there's nobody speaking up for the Muslims in many countries. Well, I'm just using the word countries now. I think you guys don't like when I say that nations, but many nations are struggling. What they call people are being actually the worst thing is people are being killed, and it looks like the most weakest people in the world are the Muslims, and it shouldn't be that way. And even though they have the most resources, and they have weaponry, they've got everything, what they call, and they've got the strong-willed people, and hopefully this time next week, I think we'll probably be talking about other aspects. But I don't think by next week, I think we're not gonna have a show for a while now. The Wood Sub. Thank you for your time, the Wood Sub, and see you in a couple of weeks' time. And AJ Sab, if you're not going on holiday, go on a holiday or something. Do something.
this is holiday for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care. God bless. Allah Hafiz.
Allah
Thank you.
Hafiz.
Take care.
Take care.